Hey, One World Entertainment, and we have an interesting Star Trek story here because Colm Meaney was asked on the possible return of Miles O'Brien in Star Trek and what he really thinks about Trekkies. Now, it's quite interesting because you're looking at it going, well, where in the hell would he come back? The only way he could come back is in another Picard series, or, of course, if DS9 was brought back. But let's be honest, under Alex Kurtzman, we don't want any of that. As a matter of fact, I think if we were told that was happening, our reaction would all be,
oh, Jesus.
yeah. So let's have a look at this, because it's kind of getting put out that, oh, he's saying he would come back and that it's looking like it would happen. That's not quite the case, but you'll see what I mean. So it says Star Trek The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine introduced a long list of iconic characters, and while some made a bigger impact than others, Miles O'Brien understandably remains a firm fan favourite. Irish actor Colm Meaney played the transporter chief of the USS Enterprise D and was later promoted to Chief of Operations of Deep Space Nine. Miles appeared in 225 episodes overall and clocked up the second most appearances, second only to Michael Dorn's Worf. Now, that part, I don't know whether they're talking about most appearances in DS9 or in Star Trek overall. I'm assuming it's possibly Star Trek overall. So it says last week we caught up, this the article, people now saying they caught up. We caught up with Meaney to discuss his memorable role in Duchess. During our conversation with the actor, we asked whether he has any interest in reprising the role of Miles O'Brien. Picard recently took us back to TNG era and O'Brien was sadly MIA. He said this, I think 7 years in a spacesuit was enough, you know. He said through a video call or something. I'm often asked that question and you never say never, of course. But first of all, I wouldn't fit in it anymore, laughs. So he's saying he's put on weight. And I remember people saying at the time when Voyager got going, how many times can you go to the well? How many times can you revamp this? They successfully did it with Star Trek and they're still doing it. Good luck to them. They're going to need all the luck they can get with Alex Kurtzman. And he continued, do you want to see an elderly Miles O'Brien? I don't know. It's certainly not at the top of my agenda of things I would like to do at the moment. So you're saying, he says never say never, but at the same time he's saying, would you really want to see an old man O'Brien there? Does he really want to go into it and stuff? It says as well, elsewhere in the interview, we asked Meaney for his thoughts on dealing with Trekkies and the sort of legacy a franchise like Star Trek has. Now that's interesting that they ask him, what do you think of the fan base? Because, you know, whether this is one of these, let's bait them in and we get it, where he's saying, oh, they're toxic and they're all this. Because we've seen this so much. Of course, the most memorable one was with Henry Cavill, when that dipshit tried to get him to say the fans were toxic, and of course didn't go his way, and Cavill gave the most perfect response. Colm Meaney does pretty much the same type of thing here, because he says, I never subscribe to that thing that Star Trek fans are nuts. A few of them are. There's the odd one, but now I always find Star Trek fans to be professional fans. They're very good. They want to say hello and what they think, and then they leave you alone pretty much. That's really nice and not true of everybody. I've always found them incredibly acknowledgeable and way more than I was when I was doing it. So he's saying there, they're more interested in seeing them now than when he was actually a part of the show. He says they knew more about episodes than I did, which is extraordinary. They're very committed to it, and I think it has had a very positive impact on people. The whole Star Trek universe, in terms of both racially, in terms of people getting along with aliens, getting along with other aliens and humans, and it's a very positive influence. I think it's a very positive worldview that Gene Roddenberry created at the beginning. They very much stuck to that, and it's all good. So you're seeing there, when you're seeing, I think that's an interesting response he gives there when he's saying the racial part, because that's something we've spoken about on here on this channel with certain videos, especially towards Star Wars, when we hear these morons in Hollywood turning around and go, oh, the fans are racist and they're this and they're that, towards Star Wars. When you're going, racist? You're literally a movie series about aliens. Like, there's literally aliens who can't even speak English standing there next to this person with like 3 eyes and whatnot, and you're trying to say we're racist. So it's interesting that he brings up that point in this, saying like, oh, the racial terms of people getting along with each other, with other species, everything else. So he's flat out saying, and he says there, you know, and they stuck to that. The fan base, that's who he's talking about, stuck to that. So he's saying flat out, there's no such thing as a racist Star Trek fan, which we keep seeing Kurtzman even trying to push every now and again. So it's an interesting statement he makes, that he's saying the fans are respectful. You know, they come up, they say hello, they'll leave you alone, whatnot. How they're basically not toxic, that they're professional and they're passionate and whatnot. And he would be open to coming back as Chief Miles O'Brien, but it's doubtful that that will happen. Again, unless they do a DS9. But again, if we get told Alex Kurtzman is doing a DS9, our response would be,
Oh, Jesus.
yeah. And as for people, by the way, wondering, you might have seen the story that Paramount TV Studios is closing down, that they've made the announcement they're shutting it down, and I think it's something like, it's either 200 or 2,000 jobs are going. And a lot of people are going, oh, that's the end of the Kurtzman Trek. Unfortunately, no, it's not, because all of Kurtzman Trek gets made at CBS. So it's not going to be affected at all. And a lot of the shows that were getting produced over at the Paramount Studios are being shipped over to the CBS Studios. So no, it doesn't affect Star Trek at all. So if you're seeing people saying it's the end of the Star Trek with Kurtzman, no, it's not, unfortunately. But there you go. There's the story with Chief Miles O'Brien, Colm Meaney, talking about possible returns and the fan base. So with that, I shall leave it there for this one. Like, share, subscribe. Let's see how quickly we can get the channel to 2,000 subscribers. And thank you very much to everyone who has already hit the sub button. And thank you to everyone who's going to hit the sub button in the future. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.